Hello. Welcome in to the show. NFL Week 5 is upon us, and we're going to be talking 7 players to buy and 7 players to sell in this episode. And I'm so excited, you can hear it in my voice, to talk about this. So let us waste absolutely no time. Number 1, player to buy, Sam Darnold, currently sitting at the number 4 quarterback on the year, averaging 25.7 fantasy points per game. And he's been playing pretty well. I think that DJ Moore and when CMC returns, he's going to continue to play well. That defense we know is really good too in Carolina. I think that they were a little bit gifted with the schedule that they played early. Anytime you play the Jets and the Texans in the first couple weeks, your numbers might be a little bit inflated, but looks like the Sam Darnold revival is happening. Currently a top 5 quarterback in the league, and you could probably get him for less than what you would usually have to pay for a top 5 quarterback. Number 2, Justin Herbert, currently sitting as the quarterback 14 on the year, averaging 21.7 fantasy points per game. Got off to a really slow start the first 2 games, has revived himself in the last 2, and he is slowly blossoming into a quarterback that is probably top 5 real quarterbacks in the league. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are doing their thing, as well as Austin Eckler. And Jared Cook even is showing some promise, but those skills players are legit. The Chargers offense is for real, and I know that it's only 4 games into the new coaching staff, but they sure seem like they know what they are doing with Justin Herbert. I think that Justin Herbert is a big buy, and I would definitely check what you could maybe get him for. I'm not like hammering the table as like a top 2 quarterback rest of way, but definitely float some offers out to the Herbert owner and see what they would be willing to give to part with Justin Herbert. Number 3, Damian Harris, currently sitting as the RB 35, averaging 10 fantasy points per game. Been terrible the last 2 weeks. Maybe because of game script. That Patriots running back core is seriously so banged up, and I think that Damien Harris will get a solid workload, especially in standard leagues. He is for sure a buy. PPR, maybe not, but he is probably dirt cheap right now, and I think that Damien Harris is worth a flyer because after 2 weeks, he was a top 15 running back, and I think that Belichick might realize that he is their best running back eventually, but obviously Patriots running backs are always a risk. Number 4, Giovanni Bernard has only really played in 1 game, but in that game, he did see 10 targets, had 8 catches, and Ronald Jones is just not getting it done. I know that he scored the touchdown last week, but Giovanni Bernard is better and can catch the ball. He's a veteran, as they all are in that backfield. I think that Leonard Fournette is still going to get a lot of playing time, but Giovanni Bernard is definitely a guy that I want to buy low on, and I don't even know if you have to buy low. He's probably available in your league, but Giovanni Bernard is definitely a guy that I want on my roster, especially in PPR leagues. Number 5, Robert Woods, disappearing act, has been literally invisible this year. Had 2 targets last week, and he honestly might be the biggest bust of the year so far. I mean, he has been unusable this year, and he's in one of the best offenses in football. That has to turn around. It really does. He didn't just get like bad, did he? I don't think so. Robert Woods is a guy that I think you can get for dirt cheap right now, and he has to be better. It's just that has to be. And the next guy is the same exact thing in the same boat. Brandon Nyuk, his teammate Debo Samuel, is currently sitting as the number 3 receiver on the year. Brandon Nyuk, oh my gosh, I mean, he might be more unusable right now than Robert Woods. Again, I don't want to start either of these 2 guys, but I think that Brandon Nyuk, after such a solid year last year, will come back and be better to finish out the season. It's hard not to be. He has been awful, and I think that it's going to even out. It's absolutely going to even out for Brandon Ayuk. And number 7, Marquis Brown, currently sitting as the 12th receiver on the year, 18.1 fantasy points per game. Players with the most 20-yard receptions in the NFL this year: DJ Moore at 8, Hollywood and Tyreek at 7, Kupp at 6, and McLaurin at 6 too. If Marquise Brown never had those drops, if he didn't drop one of the touchdowns against Detroit, he would be the wide receiver 8 on the year. If he didn't drop both touchdowns, he would be the wide receiver 1 on the year. The Marquise Brown breakout is in. It is here, and I don't think that you're going to have to pay full price for him. Buy Marquise Brown before it is too late. Continuing, 7 players to sell. The number 1 player to sell, I am sure that you can guess who that player is. He played 23 snaps last week and scored 3 touchdowns. It's Cordarrelle Patterson, currently sitting as the running back 3 on the season, 21.5 fantasy points per game. See what you can get for him. I saw in my home league, 2 of my friends traded Cordarrelle for Julio Jones. I think that that's a good trade. And just float offers, because we know as bye weeks and injuries come up, running back is getting absolutely paper thin. And Cordell Patterson is just not going to be a top 3 running back on the year. I can guarantee you that. And if you can get value close to that, if you can get a nice running back 2, wide receiver 2, I'm pulling the trigger. The Falcons suck, and he is not going to score 3 touchdowns on 23 snaps. That's the most probably efficient touchdown rate in NFL history. It's not going to happen. So Cordarrelle Patterson is the number 1 player I'm pounding the table to sell. Please sell him. You have to. Number 2, Deandre Swift, 7th running back on the year, 18.2 points per game. Jamal Williams' presence scares me, and the Detroit Lions scare me. I think that they are a bad football team, and that is no joke. The secret is out, okay? But a lot of people remember that huge blow-up game that Deandre Swift had, and I think that that's not a bad thing. He is a good player, but I don't know if he's going to finish as the top 10 running back, and that is for sure what he's being valued as right now. He's really good, but just the team is terrible, and I would just rather have a running back on a better team. So if you can get equal value for him, as in a top 10 running back and RB1, I'm not just giving him away, but I think that he's a guy that you should definitely be looking to sell. Number 3, Debo Samuel, currently the wide receiver 3 on the year, 25.1 fantasy points per game, 2 huge games. Last week was a bit of a fluke. 1 touchdown was garbage time. The other, there was no one within 35 yards of him. But, you know, Debo this year has been a clear locked and loaded wide receiver 1, top 5 receiver. But I'm not so confident that that continues on that pace. You know, I don't really think that I don't feel that Debo Samuel is going to finish as the top 5 wide receiver. That's not bold. Top 12, probably. The way that he's played and how Kyle Shanahan knows how to use him, right? But you can get so much value right now for Debo Samuel, and I just think that you need to float offers out there. You know, I'm talking wide receiver 1, running back 1 type of players. You know, see if you could flip Debo Samuel for Aaron Jones. See if you can flip Debo Samuel for Tyreek Hill. See if you could flip him for Devontae Adams. I'm not selling him on the low. You know, you have to pay up for him, but he's a guy that I'm not super duper confident is going to finish where he currently is. In fact, I'm pretty confident he isn't going to do that, but of course we don't know. But Debo Samuel is a guy that I would be trying to sell. Number 4, Deandre Hopkins, currently the wide receiver 24 in the league, 14.4 fantasy points per game. And last year, he was a target hog. He got all the targets in Arizona. And this year, that's just not the case. They have 4 capable wide receivers, and DeAndre Hopkins is for sure the most talented of them all, but he is not this like alpha number 1, no question wide receiver who's just going to get 15 targets a game. It's just not the year for that. And so if people are still valuing Hopkins as a top 5, top 7 wide receiver, and you can flip him for the guys that I just said, you know, Tyreek Hill, AJ Green, Devontae Adams, I would be looking to do so. You know, DK Metcalf, see what you can get, see what you have in DeAndre Hopkins, because he's a guy that I think is still a solid wide receiver 2 this year, but he's just not like a top 5 wide receiver like you took him as back in August. Number 5, Brandon Cooks, currently the wide receiver 10 on the season, 18.9 fantasy points per game. And this one is just simply about the Texans are just, oh my gosh, they are bad with Davis Mills. I mean, I didn't think it was possible for someone to play worse than Jacoby Brissett over the weekend, but Davis Mills certainly cracked that code. The Texans are really bad, and Brandon Cooks has had a little bit of an injury history, and I'm not calling for an injury or anything. He's still a top 10 receiver right now on the season, but I'm not selling him for pennies on the dollar, but I need to get Brandon Cooks off my hands. The Texans are just a dumpster fire, and I think that he's still startable, but he's not going to be a top 10 receiver on the year, especially if the season starts to go sideways. Brandon Cooks, does he wonder, am I going to risk it all for my 1-12 Houston Texans, 0-13 Houston Texans team? No, they have a win. They beat Jacksonville week 1. But yeah, Brandon Cooks is a guy that I'm just looking to sell right now. Number 6, Adam Thielen, 13th on the year, 17.7 points per game, has been saved by touchdowns. And if you take away his touchdowns, he is nothing special. Kirk Cousins played abysmal last week. And Kirk Cousins doesn't throw. He's averaging something like 28 attempts per game, and the efficiency just needs to be there for Thielen to keep producing like this. So Adam Thielen's a guy that I'm trying to sell as well. And number 7, CeeDee Lamb, 26th on the year, 14 points per game. Every single game this year, he has gotten less fantasy points than the previous week, and everyone has that image of CeeDee Lamb against the Buccaneers where he absolutely went off. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that CeeDee Lamb is not talented. He is really good. But what I'm saying is the Cowboys want to be run heavy. They are a run heavy, run first team. Their defense is much better than last year. They're not throwing 80 times a game to keep up. And Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard, and Amari Cooper are going to get theirs. And I just don't know if the volume is there to have CeeDee Lamb be a top 7-8 wide receiver like a lot of people value him as right now. And I would just be floating offers out there for him as well to see what I could get. And that is going to do it for this quick little podcast. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Stay safe, stay happy, take care.